All right, we could do that.
Howdy, everybody. My name is J.R. Sparrow. I am the host of West Virginia and Commonplace. And sometimes life puts you in different areas. You start off in a career and you're really in love with what you're doing. And then life hits you with those apples, oranges, and grapes. And some of them are good, some of them are sour, and some of them are just ugly, and you have to just throw them away. Well, some people go on with these things for 35 years and they hold on to them for a while. And then at the 35-year mark, they look at themselves, they grab their chin, and they go, what can I do to transition? What can I do to shift my life? So today's guest, Kirk McCarley. I'm sorry,
McCarley,
McCarley. I chopped his name up. He corrected me there.
you're
Sorry about that,
close.
Mr. McCarley. He is here today to talk to us. So the nostalgic question and the greatest question that can be asked on the show is, who is Kurt? And Kurt, I'm going to pass it along to you to introduce yourself to everyone, and please tell us something interesting about yourself that no one knows.
Hmm. Let me contemplate that for a moment. But before I get there, Kirk, I'm a Christ follower. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm a grandfather. I am a executive career coach. I'm an employee of the Disney Corporation. They have this little subsidiary called ESPN, and I've been working with them for over 30 years. I'm a spin instructor. I teach group exercise classes, and I'm working on a book currently based on some life experiences I've had, some observations I've made, some things that I've seen out there that I think would be good advice for my kids and other people's kids. And we're all somebody's kids.
Okay, so Kirk, your transition from a 35-year career in home human resources to become a career and life coach is inspiring. Can you share what motivates this shift and how your background in HR influences your approach in coaching?
Well, you're absolutely right, JR. I'd been in HR for 35 years and I was approaching my mid to late 50s age-wise. At that point, I'm 67 now. And I wanted to do something else with my life to further career. We all want to have impact. How can I have impact in this world, a greater impact than perhaps I was experiencing? So in 2013, I contracted with a coach to help me identify that. This is a life coach. And I was thinking of several things at that point in time, extending my career into something else. But it's about the third meeting I had with him. And a light went off. And I said to myself, I had my aha breakthrough moment. I want to do what you do, saying that to the coach. It made sense from what I had been doing in HR and what I had noticed in my HR career is that more and more of it became people approaching me. I'm frustrated with career. I'm frustrated with life. Give me some advice. Tell me your thoughts. And less on, let's go into employee relations. Let's deal with compensation and classification. Let's do recruiting. So it made sense to me at that time. So that was 2013. I went back to school. In between going back to school and making that decision, went through a significant health event that did nothing but spur me on to, okay, son, you've got another opportunity. What are you going to do with this? So that's how I embarked upon this coaching journey.
Okay. Now, you emphasize the importance of considering possibilities and acting upon them to make dreams a reality. Can you walk us through this process to help clients identify their passions and take actionable steps towards their goals?
Good question, JR. Going into the meetings with my career coach, life coach, I was thinking classroom teaching. I've always enjoyed standing up and talking to students, Sunday school teacher for many years. I thought about therapy. I've had some rough spots in my own life, and some counselors and therapists have been a tremendous help with me. I thought about pastoral ministry a little bit. That intrigued me. So it was fleshing through those areas. What would I need to do in order to embark upon those careers? How long would it take? What would the investment be, not only time, but time-wise, but monetarily? And it wasn't a compromise based on time and finances, but it was really a calling. I felt drawn into coaching, particularly as I considered it more. I have known coaches besides the one that I work with specifically. And I said to myself, I'd like to make a go of this. It's not going to be the be all to end all. And I've got some other things I'm involved with as well, already working in the gig economy, so to speak. But that was my thought process of how to embark upon that journey.
All right, now thank you for that. And audience, right there, I want to give y'all a little tip. That was the first gym in this episode. We're gonna have a lot of gyms in this episode, so let me go a little bit deeper because we have two other things to talk about. Because you have a man of many different hats. With your experience as a production assistant at the great, and I'm talking about the great ESPN. I do not want to shun you guys over at Fox Sports or anywhere else, but ESPN drew me in as a kid. This is one thing I want to tell you. I'm a professional wrestling fan. So early in the 80s, wrestling was on ESPN. And I loved it for other sports and things like that but I had the Wild World sports to watch also on Saturdays. But as a kid, I knew that I could watch some grade A wrestling that was better than WWE, and it was on ESPN. So I want to thank ESPN for that. Now, as a production assistant at ESPN and leading spinning classes, how do you integrate these diverse interests and experiences into your coaching practice and into your everyday life?
A perfect day for me, JR, is I have a 6 a.m. spinning class that I teach. I have a client meeting at 9:30 a.m. after the spinning class, and then that evening have to go work a game in some region, Tallahassee, Mobile, Alabama, wherever the case may be. And along the way, I mentioned to you off camera that I'm working on a book right now. I get to do four things in one day,
Well,
and it's interesting how they all intersect with each other. In spinning, we'll say, for example, a lot of visualization given to the class members that are exercising. What do you see as you've loaded on this gear? What is the grade? What is the incline? What do you need to do in order to get your revolutions per minute to the 60 threshold? How much pressure are you feeling? That's a coaching technique. I'll ask similar questions when I'm coaching somebody. What are you feeling at the moment? Where are you feeling it? What are you seeing? What is, where is it? Is it in your gut? Is it in your head? Is it in your heart? Likewise, when I'm working as a talent statistician for ESPN, my primary job is to supply information to the broadcaster and to the analyst who is working alongside the broadcaster. I'll listen very carefully to what they're talking about. And the question I ask myself, what can I contribute to them at this point in time to enhance the broadcast, enhance the production? And I do a lot of work on radio, which is all visualization for the listener. What can I do to help paint this picture for the person that's not seeing it? So that's an example of how things interweave in all those kinds of varying aspects.
okay, now we're going to talk about age real quick. You're in your 60s. Is it 67? Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Now, you're a testament to the idea that it's never too late to discover your true calling. And what advice would you give to the over 50 crowd? And the reason I ask this is because, like you said, we were taught that there's different pivots in life, and we were taught that we're all supposed to do this midlife crisis between 30 and 40s. And it's not supposed to hit later on. By that point, we're supposed to do whatever we're conditioned to be a certain way. And you broke that mold there. So what advice would you give to someone that's thinking about, hey, I want to turn the corner and do something completely different? What type of mentality do you need to build up to do that?
BJR life is a journey.
Okay.
There is an ultimate destination if you're a Christ follower, I would say. But in the interim here on earth, I don't know how long this journey is going to last, how long this marathon that I'm in is going to take me to, what my condition is going to be, what my health is going to be. So every day is precious. What am I going to do with that particular day while I'm on this journey? What am I going to see? What am I going to experience? What is the detour I'm maybe going to take along the way to go see something or experience something that I've never had the opportunity to experience before? So, my advice is to take life like that. I read a tremendous book a few years ago. Someone gave it to me called Younger Next Year. There is a version for both male and female. But what I like about it is if we take care of ourselves and we're fortunate to not have anything debilitating, a disease that comes up, or we get hit by a car or something unforeseen happens, we have a high probability of being able to go well into our mid 80s, our late 80s, functioning at quite a high level. So I've kind of set that as a goal. I get to 86, 88, 90, and I'm still going. Let's see how long we can push this marathon. So the slippery slope is with acceptance of age versus fighting it. And I tend to still fight it a little bit more than maybe I should.
Okay, okay, I like that. And that's another gem inside this episode. Now, everyone, we're gonna hit this thing on the head real quick. I pay homage to a news magazine. It's called 2020. 2020 was really tight in my life at a young age, which is kind of odd for some people. And I'm talking about, if I was born in 1985, I'm only 38. You know that I was probably 5 or 6 watching this after TGI Friday. John Stossel would come on and he would be the comic relief. He had something funny that went on with what he talked about. Diane Sawyer would come on and she was very poignant. She had a interview prowess that no one else has ever had. Later on in the years, Elizabeth Vargas joined the show and she had well rounded questions, but there was one person in particular, the late, great Barbara Walters. The late, great Barbara Walters was amazing because when she had you at 20 minutes to 11, if she was giving what I call a fire interview, the newscast used to let her stay on until 11:05, and I know you remember that. If she bombed and didn't do good, she was only on until 11 o'clock, and we went to our regular news and we saw the scores from Friday Night Football. Now it is time, Kurt, for you to get on the hot seat and do your 2020 questions. Are you ready?
Let's go, JR.
All right, so here we go. As a certified personal coach and a professional in human resources, you bring a unique blend of expertise to your coaching practice. How did you develop, and this is not your John Stossel question, this is your Diane Sawyer first. How did you develop a strategic balance in using this in the personal growth focus of coaching? That's a tough one. I've seen your face frown on that one.
You're having so much fun, JR. I love it. Let me put an end to the fun. No, great question. It's like, how do you eat an elephant? And we've heard the adage, one bite at a time. So I start from a foundation of, okay, as a coach, when I work with a client, what I first want to establish, what's my gift? What's my talent? And it's based on relationship. That's one of the core competencies of coaching, establishing a relationship with the individual, getting to know them. What is our commonality? What do we share? It may be from a faith perspective, geographical, athletic. And we've had a fine conversation along those lines already, talking about your experience as a collegiate athlete, talking about ESPN, the commonalities that we share. So we established that ground first of all, which in coaching, where we're going to run across areas and in relationships too, that we may have disagreement on or we may not see eye to eye, we always come back to what our commonality, what our bond is. So that's where I start initially. I for a coaching meeting to be effective, I want the client to be doing 80% of the talking. I want to be doing the listening. And I want to make sure that I hear well so that I can ask powerful questions like you just asked me in order to cause that client to think, for them to dig deeper than they have before, and to really realize that they already have the answers in many ways to what they came to me to talk about. I just drew that out of them. Now we've got breakthroughs, we've got aha moments. Let's work on the plan that's going to allow you to achieve those things.
Man, and that's powerful right there. Now, we're going to move on to the John Stossel question. And this is just a simple, silly question. Now, you got all these titles to your name, father, this, and that. What is your favorite title and why? That's a simple one. We go from complex back down.
I'll go back to my intro when we first lit off. And I think in order, it's Christ follower. I
Okay.
think it's husband. After that, I think it's father, grandfather, and then we get into the uh, various activities that I'm involved with. So I'll give clients elevator pitches. What would you say if you had a 30 to 45-second spiel? How would you identify yourself? And they'll turn it back on me and ask me the same question, kind of like you just asked me. And my response is, it kind of depends upon the day.
Okay, I like that. I like that. Now, whew, we've done everyone except Barbara Walters and Elizabeth Vargas. So let's go into Elizabeth Vargas. Okay. Your commitment to helping your clients celebrate self confidence is commendable. I want to tell you that already because I've done my research on you. Stacy, in the background, does the most research and comes back to me, and then we go back and forth. But in doing all these things, how do you keep Kirk's cup full? How do you, because when you help people and do these things, you carry the weight of the world on your back. And being a father, being a figure to everyone around you, how do you handle the weight of the world?
When I was in HR, I probably did something that most people would say is not healthy, but I did it because it worked for me. I compartmentalized. And what I meant by that, I would work with people who were going through tremendous difficulties beyond not being able to work effectively with others, let's say, or the job's not what they want it to be. There were problems at home that they would bring, financial problems. And I would listen to those. But at the end of the day, it would go to a different section of the brain. I can't bring that home with me. And fortunately, I'm wired in such a way that that worked well for me. I've got to put my oxygen mask on first before I can help anyone else. So I'm always very conscious of that when I was in HR and still as a coach. I've been very blessed that I have considerate clients who realize that they own what the situation is. I'm there to help them resolve whatever it is that they need to reach resolution with. And again, I celebrate with them when those aha moments come up and see that as an opportunity for encouragement. You can do this. You've got the ability to achieve, which is where the confidence building comes into play. And I have some wonderful friends and relationships, some that I've had for a long, long time, all over the US and some into other countries as well, that we text each other, we share stories, we've got deep relationships that go back. We have kind of a cynical view of things sometimes. So we like to laugh about that and laugh at each other. That's how my bucket gets filled when I feel depleted.
Okay, and I like that answer. Now, the dreaded Barbara Walters question. Now, this question right here, it's going to make you more personable to the audience. It's going to either sway or move people to you or against you, which we like both because we got to have good, and have an opposition. I didn't say bad. We just have to have an opposition. Now, success is a horrible word in our vocabulary, but we have to describe it. We have to have some type of motivation beyond our morality system and beyond our beliefs. But success is something that drives us in certain areas and we define it. My definition of success is doing something just a little bit more optimal, because we're not going to use any other word than that, because I hate to use anything other than optimal. That's my new word of the day. Something that's I'm doing a little bit more optimal than what I did the day before. So it's not a monetary gain. It's not, it could be a psychological gain. It could be anything that's not based on the money or based on something that gives me a superlative at the end of the day. So, Kurt, I need your definition of success, or do you not believe in success?
JR, I'm glad you didn't ask me a Barbara Walters question like I feared. If you were a tree, what kind of a tree would you be? So this is already easier than that. But getting back to the question about success. So often in a capitalist society, we want it to be measured. Uh, Monetarily, it often is, but sometimes where that's the measurement, the soul, the heart is depleted. Success is what I've seen, and I've seen it in many people, and it's never predicated upon that. It's peace of mind, it's happiness, but beyond that, it's living with a life of joy, no matter what the circumstances may bring. This is in my book, but someone I was in a club with years ago, service club, he was in his 60s. He had a son. His son passed away suddenly. It was a heart attack or some kind of a condition along those lines. We learned about it over the weekend. Our club met on a Monday, and we were grieving for him. We were not expecting him to be at our club meeting, but sure enough, there he is. He shows up, and we were taken aback. What is he doing here? He should be in grief. So we shared our condolences with him, but what he shared was, I'm a believer in something bigger than myself. Our son was as well. I can't do anything for him grieving. I need to be where I feel led to be, and that's here today. And that was a lesson that has stuck with me for 35 years since that happened, is in spite of our circumstances, do we have a higher power that's at play that can lead us through those troubled waters, as my friend did at that time? I considered him to be successful, and that's a tidbit of what I hope to emulate.
Okay, I like that. Now, the second part, because you know, bar Walzer just don't stop. You don't just do one question and just end it. So, the second part of this, in life, we have triumphs and we have disappointment. Disappointment to me is this hollow area that I go down sometimes, but I can pull myself out that hollow area. And it's a one way holler, as we say in the country. It's a one way in, one way out situation, too. So tell me about a disappointment in your life, if you don't mind, we get that personable, that you've had to use every bit of these tactics that you've grown or have had naturally all these years. Let me know about that moment where you had to just pause and say, hey, I'm a little upset with what's going on, but I can figure this out.
I'm going to speak to your younger audience now. When I was in my 30s, I dealt with a very down time, clinical depression, and I felt I was in the wilderness of life. It shouldn't be that way. I had a great family. My kids were young, but there was a certain something that was missing, this idea of success. And quite frankly, I think that helped me to get to where I am now with identifying it. And a lot of other people in my mind were more successful than I was. A little bit of imposter syndrome taking place, but they were more financially gifted. They seemed more stable in what they were doing. I was questioning myself. I was having a lot of anxiety about that. And quite frankly, negative self-talk of you don't deserve to be where you are. And negative forces certainly were impacting me. I had a number of friends that realized that. I had, as I mentioned before, a good counselor at the time. But there was a lot of fear associated with maybe my anger, which there's a correlation between the two. And it was a friend I was talking to just this past week. She gave me some advice of when you have fear, go towards it. It seems counterintuitive, and it was hard and it was difficult, but it's something I knew that I had to do. It didn't happen at once, but gradually over the course of time. There was some divine intervention as well during that time. If I clearly felt the presence of God speaking to me, telling me to do this, do that. I did it, and there was an immediate response, but now there is. It takes time, it takes patience and endurance. And I didn't enjoy it very much at that time, that period. But now I can see the value of having gone through that as I coach other people that are going through difficult stages of life.
Now, audience, right there, that was the greatest gem thus far in this episode. Now, I want to tell you, as a representative, because you work for the company that I want to work for, if I ever get into that news media area, they will be proud of you in this interview because you nailed it on
Good.
the head. An audience from here, I forgot to do one thing. It's a little thing that we do. It's nostalgic to the show. We call, oh my gosh, I forgot the name of it. It's what is the little thing that we do on here? It comes back to me. It's a little promo we do in the middle of the show, and I don't know why I lost the name of it. What? I'm sorry, I forgot the name of it. Like I don't know what my mind went blank. You messed me up with your conversation. But it's kind of like a cheap little thrill. It's a way that people can know who you are and things like that real quick. So real quick, it's the shameless pitch. Can you
The
real quick?
seats, yeah,
Yeah,
the
can you real
seats
quick?
are a coach is the name of my business. And that came about from a couple of different angles.
Shameless plug. That's
One,
what it's called. Shameless plug. I don't know why I lost it. It's a shameless plug so everybody can know where to meet and greet you. Sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead and give them that shameless plug.
I'm just thinking of Shameless now and the TV show with William H. Macy, who I love as an actor.
Yes.
Um, but aside from that, the Seat Sower Coach is the name of my business, and it's got a couple of different influences. One, the parable of the seed sower from the gospel. The other is I'm an avid gardener, and I love planting seeds and watching them grow, and that produces our green beans and our squash and our tomatoes and the things that we enjoy here in Northwest Florida during the summer months. And we can grow broccoli and lettuce during the winter months. So actually, it becomes year round. That is the name of my business. It focuses on uh, career development, executive development, leadership development, and that's all encompassed by life. Because with each of those clients that specifically seek me out for those areas, we inevitably get into spirituality, finances, relationships, health, wellness, fitness, all of those areas as well. And I delight in making connections. I love working with diverse clients, and I've had the opportunity to do that and learn so much about people who are not like me and may think a little bit different. It has been a joy and a blessing to me.
Okay. Now, I do a testimony in this episode. I do them for everyone. We had a quick little pre-call, and I call them pre-calls because I don't like to do a pre-call, didn't do an interview. I like to do it just like we did it. It became organic. We got to talking about some things, and next thing you know, like you said, commonalities. That's my new word of the day. I'm actually going to steal that from you, and I'm going to make a whole podcast episode about that commonalities. I really am seriously. So here we go. I use a lot of words: perseverance, fortitude and all that other stuff. So we're not going to do that here. We're going to give you a good word, resilient. Resilient is your word. You should carry that with you. You should get a WWE championship belt and be the resilient champion. You took a turn in life. You decided that you needed to pivot a certain way. You drove to the basket. You did your best Bill Walton over Kareem and you scored, or Lou Alcindor, whatever you want to call him. And it worked. There were some hiccups that that they can discuss with you and find out. And you said you had a book, correct?
I'm working on a book now.
Are you're working on a book now? So they'll find that out in your book later. Do we have a tentative date on that book?
It is going to be in 24. It is going to be self-published, but I'm working with a lot of assistance from a wonderful group in the Dallas-Fort Worth area now, and we'll see. I've got to get some copyrights and some licenses I'm finding. So another new endeavor. I'm learning about all the hoops to jump through with that process.
Okay, so I'll finish this testimony real fast. So, in finding yourself and becoming yourself again, because we go through these spells, we all do, revolving and evolving are the hardest things for people to do, and you know how to do them. And you know how to coach people into the revolving and evolving portions of life that some people don't want to always touch and are hesitant to. So, I want to thank you for that. I want you to, next time you get a chance, look in the mirror and say, what's revolving and evolving with me today? Could be your hair, could be the color of your beard, just could be your smile. It could get a little bit bigger, could get a little bit smaller. So you have to work on keeping that up. So that is a great thing to pass on to everyone, and you do that. So I want to tell you thank you for that. Then the greatest thing in life, the greatest thing in any plane, astrological plane, or whatever you want to feel, is having the Lord by your side. You are a testament of being one of his instruments. You're a testament of being one of his tools to help people around the world, around any and every nook and cranny that there could be a person. And I hope that your message gets across to everyone. And I hope that you're able to continue doing this. So that's the thing there, being a provider beyond your household, beyond television, beyond even this media. That's what you do. So I commend you for that. I want you to know that I'm proud of you, even though we just met. I feel a certain passion for you, for the compassion that you have. So you, on your billboard, when you're out there, when you leave Southwest Florida and you head home Southwest, that puts you near Tallahassee, correct?
Northwest Florida.
Or
Um,
Northwest.
yeah, I'm between Tallahassee and Pensacola.
Okay, so somewhere around there. So when you go up to Florida State, your billboard there at their stadium reads this: calm, cool, and collective, but easily shaken. And the reason I say that is because you knew that things in your life shook you around, but you have stability. Mental stability, spiritual stability are the hardest things to come by, and you have those. Now, not saying that they always stay stable, but you know how to, you have a stabilizer. Having that stabilizer is the thing that you're passing along to other people. That's what you're trying to instill in other people. Hey, you can have a stabilizer. You can work with certain metrics and different things to work things out. But in doing so, make sure you keep the Lord Jesus Savior Christ in your heart and in your mind and in your spirit, and all things are possible.
Thank you, JR. That was sweet of you to say.
Yes, sir. So on that note, I need you to do me a huge favor, because along the way in people's lives, we have so many people that have helped us. And some people have entities. And I know we're not supposed to covet anything, but I know a lady that has had a pet rock all these years that has helped her along with her religion. She keeps that pet rock with her, but it's something that keeps her mind afloat going forward. She does her prayers, but she's got that pet rock and she puts a little number on it. I don't know how you can get that many numbers on a pet rock, but whatever. So who has helped you, or what entities have been involved with you that have helped you along the whole way? Give them a big shout out.
My son and daughter-in-law gave me a devotional Christmas 3, 4 years ago. It's The Uncommon Life by Tony Dungy. Wonderful devotional, split up daily. So that starts my day off. And for me, it works because it takes me a couple of minutes to go through that and then leads into particular prayer time. So that's one thing that comes to mind. I, again, love connections and learning what people are doing and keeping up with those relationships and connections that are out there. I have a funny story about spirituality. This is 4 years ago.
Okay.
And the church we attended when we were in St. Louis before we moved to Northwest Florida, still actively involved in. Wonderful church, and the messages are just so powerful. So we continue to watch online. But this is in February 2020. We were watching that, and the people who were conducting the worship service invited others to get involved in small groups. So I contacted the church and asked the question, would there be a small group for those of us who attend church remotely? And the response I got back was, would you be interested in leading a group? And that's like, oh my gosh. Um, Okay. And so for 4 years, I've been leading this small group remotely. But the interesting thing about it, the next month after we went remote, every group went remote because of COVID. So we continued to meet, and we've got people in St. Louis and New York. It's a wonderful group. They fill my bucket. They really do, by allowing me to facilitate the group, and they listen to and put up with me.
Okay. So on that note, I am JR and this is Kirk, and we are signing off. And one thing I want to do real quick before we do that is for the audience. Inside the show notes, I'm going to make sure that we have every way and any way that you can meet Kirk, get involved with him, and have him and have yourself become part of his ecosystem, him become part of your ecosystem, and next thing you know, it's a world instead of just an ecosystem. The great thing that happens with podcasts is that you're going to meet different individuals, and you're going to learn different things, and you're going to get perspectives and aspects that you don't necessarily always think of or you remember. And that is what's happened with this episode with Kirk. So I do want to say this. I want to say thank you for that. I'm going to have to be a little bit better of a professor of my faith. And I said professor. And when I say that, I mean, I got to profess my faith to people better, because I don't think all the time that I do the right thing there. And I will be upstanding to everyone else in that. So I want to thank you for getting me to reaffirm who I am in this bit of conversation. I want to say thank you for that, because sometimes that gets in the way, or sometimes it's not part of what I do. And I should do that because I did it when I was younger. I was one of those kids that went to Awanas. And after Awanas, I gave the word to everybody. I said, come on to Awanas every Wednesday with me. We'll run around. You'll get some juice and cookies, but you're going to learn something spiritual, and you're going to feel something inside your soul. And I need to get back to doing that. So I want to tell you thank you for that. And on that note, we are out of here. Anything the last words you want to say to end the show?
Thank you, JR. This has been a sacred intersection for me today, and I look forward to continuing our relationship and dialogue.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.